Good morning, everybody. And today I am speaking to the always positive Vanessa Hung. Vanessa, how you doing?
Good. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you. And I love people who are always smiling, so it's always great to have you on. And I enjoy your content a lot because it's very hands-on and it's fluffless. That's a real word. And when you came to the event, many people spoke very highly about you and how, even when they followed up with you, how you communicated with them. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
So we're doing an event July 31st on AI tools as how it relates to Amazon. And you thought it was a great idea, and we spoke, and I thought, or we both thought it was a good idea for you to speak to the ASGTG audience about specific changes, what are happening, pretty radical changes that are happening, which Amazon sellers need to be aware. So tell us what you have in mind and what specifically is changing for how private label sellers sell on Amazon.
Yes, so a bunch of changes are happening in the platform, and the more the time goes, the new programs we see that Amazon launches. And I believe that the way that we sell on Amazon will radically change because e-commerce is going to in a way where everything is highly personalized, right? Like we are gonna see as customers the things that we are more likely to purchase, that we are more likely to buy, or that we like, that is very similar to our past behaviors and our persona. And this is a premise that it's not really new into the world of like digital marketing, right? If you think about it, social media, it's built based on that premise. We only gonna show you content that that you like and you're likely to share and comment and interact with. So in the same way social media was built on, Instagram, Facebook, all of the algorithms, TikTok, now e-commerce, and not only Amazon, but e-commerce in general, especially marketplaces like Amazon and Walmart, they're saying like, hey, there is an opportunity for us to tap into that market or into that way of selling. So my proposition, and the reason why I think it's important to talk about this, is that the shift is going to be around audiences and what's important for them, rather than the old model or the way that we learn how to build, listings and brands on Amazon, which is the keyword model. You sell keywords, right? Like you sell your top high relevant keywords, and then you go long tail, and then you advertise for that, and so on. I believe in this new era, it will be highly focused on audiences. So it's like, what does your audience like? What, like, who's your audience really? And that's the biggest question that we need to start answering ourselves. Like, who's my audience? Especially if you already sell on Amazon, because you probably built your business or your ASINs in a way where it's like, okay, there is demand and I'm gonna put an offer, right? Like there is certain volume and I want to tap into that market. Now the work is like, what are we gonna do to target those audiences? So yeah, I think the AI will radically change the ecosystem internally. And I know I'm very excited about the event that you're hosting on July 31st, because I also think that in order to get to the point where we have success in this new model of selling to AI, we need to leverage AI. So there are other tools that we need to think about using as, as part of our operations, like, GPT and Gemini and all of the things to create images and things like that. We need to leverage those in order to win the game. So that's my approach to this new world.
Right. I mean, to me, it seems like it's sink or swim. And if you don't, it's not really, you can have an opinion if you think AI is good or not, but I think we all agree it's here and it's here. And if you don't leverage it, you're pretty much dead in the water. It's like saying you're not going to use PPC. So I agree that it's here it is. And years ago when I started selling without dating myself, there was no PPC. You would just put up a listing and that was it. And you would sell. And you could like PPC or not, you had no choice. And the premise, what everyone is saying, is that AI is here, and if you don't leverage it, you're gonna sink. So you want to show us some specifics, because a lot of the things that you're saying about AI, to me, it seems like the seller, there isn't much which the seller could do, because that's Amazon, the marketplace, going to do. So I know I'm wrong, but tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah. So and think about it the same way you're thinking about PPC. Probably when you start selling, you didn't have tools for keyword research, for example.
Right.
You were just testing what sell. So imagine that we are in that moment of time where we didn't know how to tap into audiences, right? Like, or right now we don't know exactly how that tapping into audiences will look like. But this is my approach. So the first thing that we need to understand is the formula of when we sell keywords, right? So that's the catalog formula that we're used to. We do when we create a listing, we need to do keyword enhanced copy, right? The more keywords, the more relevant keywords we have in the copy, the better we're gonna rank and the algorithm will like us and shows to customers. Then we leverage backend attributes, the information that it's in the backend, not necessarily showing to the customer, but it's helping the algorithm to understand what we are. And then we have optimized images for conversion, which are extremely important because obviously our focus with images is convert the client. But in the world of AI, that's going to radically change. And because I believe the main focus will be audiences and keywords will be less relevant. It's not that they're going to go away. And this is one thing that I get a lot of, like, oh, you're saying that keywords are going to go away. Keywords will never go away because that's the way we communicate, right? Like, that's the only way we read a listing, through keywords. So that's going to be important. So imagine that the A9, the algorithm, it's built upon this formula. And it has one thing in the backend that we need to understand. It's a function. It's the way that the mathematical algorithm works. So there is a product, right, to a function. So the product is equal to a function is a. So it's in the example that I have here, is a milk frother, right? Or is a microphone. It's a pillow. So in that way, the A9 matches your product with all of the relevant keywords that you input to your listing. That's why keywords are important in the A9 model. Correct. So
Yeah.
the more keywords we have, the higher we rank in more stuff and we are shown to more customers. And that's going to change with this algorithm. This comes from a white paper, Cosmo. It's the common sense large language model that Amazon is using to understand listings or Amazon's catalog and to understand the customer intent. So they added to the algorithm, and this is, by the way, it's not that we're gonna replace the A9 completely. This is an enhancement to the A9, like the AI feature to the A9. And they're gonna add functions. As you can see in the screen, there are several functions. For example, use for, what's the function, the usage, what's the event, the audience, the prototype, the concept, the location, the time, the season, the event. All of those functions will tell the system more context about your product. So it's not anymore, let's say in the previous example with the milk frother, it's not anymore one function. It's like, this is a milk frother. No, it's like, what's the usage? Oh, this is to create foam in your coffee. And what's the time when people use it? Well, in the morning when they do coffee. Or who uses that? Well, baristas or professionals that like to make coffee in their house. Like, those things are what the system is trying to get from us, like from the catalog, in order to build the understanding of what products are, right? So in the white paper, which is very interesting, they did some A/B testing. So they A/B test 10% of US traffic, and the results of that was an increase of 0.7% in revenue. So when you think about it, you're like, okay, well, 0.7% is not a lot. Like, what are we talking about, Vanessa? Like, this is nonsense. But well, when you're a business of $7 billion a year, 0.7% is
Yeah.
$5 billion, almost $5 billion. So you're like, oh, wow, okay. So this is just a matter of time when this happens. And I started seeing queues, a lot of different queues in the back end, interacting with the catalog, solving problems for a bunch of sellers, where it is so evident that this is going to happen. And this is when it comes the new formula, or what I think the new formula is. The name of this game is Sell to AI. And this is one part that I highly recommend people to go to your event, is because we need to understand how to leverage AI to sell to AI. Because the algorithm understands listings in a different way than what customers understand it, right? So we need to cater for both things. The first part is the semantic copy. And what I mean by this is, let's say that you have a product and you have a keyword, right? In this example, I'm selling a microphone, like the one that I have here. Your keyword is microphone, correct? Obviously, it's not that you're not going to have that keyword in your listing anymore. You are going to have it, of course, because it explains what your product is, but you're going to add context to your keywords. So when you write your bullet points, you will say, this is a microphone for professional podcasters, right? This is where you're putting a function into the copy. It's for podcasts, like podcasts, high level podcasts, and you're putting an audience. Those are for podcasters. That's the thing that you're going to start thinking about, shifting your mind to say it's not only the keyword that needs to be there. In the past, the rest of the copy or the rest of the bullet point was completely irrelevant to us, right? Like, it's just like, oh, I have my keyword there, whatever I put extra is just like, appealing to a customer, but doesn't really matter. It does matter. It matters because it gives more information to the system in order for the system to understand what it is and show it to the customers that actually are part of your ideal client or your ideal audience. Then in the formula, we also have backend attributes that those are not going anywhere because you need to use that information to input it in the backend so the system sees that. And some functions that you saw in the previous slide are not necessarily need to be in your copy, in your bullet points, in your title, in your description. It could be in the backend as well. One of the most important things, so that's kind of the copy and the backend attributes. Then we go into what is a little bit external with the human and AI optimized images. And the reason why I call it human and AI, it's because yes, we need to appeal to customers, we need to convert them. But similarly, we need to appeal to the AI. And right now, the AI is so sophisticated in Amazon that it's not only that they understand what are the components on the image. So if I take a picture of myself right now, it's not that it's knowing like, oh, it's a woman with the microphones talking like things in the wall. Like, not only that, it creates a story and a context of an image. So when you think about your images on Amazon, you need to also understand and see it as in that framework of what is the story that I'm trying to tell here, and is this answering the type of questions or targeting the type of things that my audience would like to see. Because
Wow.
if you are not tapping into the audiences, right, then the system won't understand and won't put you in the right bucket. So that's why it's so impressive. And this is the AI part is something that I saw or that I'm seeing. It's playing a huge factor into the formula. I don't know how much it weights, right? I don't know, oh, okay, 90% of the context will come from images. I don't know that exactly, but the way that the changes are happening in the backend are coming a lot from the images. So we cannot have a disconnect there. So let's say that I'm selling the microphone. If I don't have a picture of a podcaster in a podcast room with my microphone and I don't know, some bullet points or whatever in the picture, it's going to be very hard for the system to understand that that's my ideal client or that's my context.
So you don't
Right?
want to be like under a waterfall, in other words, with a microphone. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. Exactly. Or simply as just like, maybe if you go to Amazon right now, you will see that the microphone is just there in the desk, in a corner of the desk. And that's whatever. Because you're not telling the system any context. It's like, oh yeah, it's a microphone for an office. That's it. But who is
Mhm.
it really for? And that's the thing, because if it's for an office, then you will put somebody on a Zoom call or something like that. It's like, oh, this is a microphone for professionals, right? And that's the context that you need to give. And the last piece of the catalog formula is the enhanced traffic. So AI, the objective of AI in this world is right now learning. The more data and the more input it has, the more it's going to learn and the more it's going to know. So because of that, the interactions of your customers in your listings are extremely important, because you want to tap into not only those audiences to prove to Amazon that that's the type of audience that you want to target, high level podcasters, for example. And this is an example that's very niche, right? Like we can think very like more broad. But let's say that I'm start to send traffic to my listing of people that are just looking for a microphone to do Zoom calls. It's probably not a good fit. That's why we need to be so careful to send traffic to Amazon, right? Or leverage those other audiences elsewhere, like influencer marketing or our own, social platforms, or traffic from Google or Meta to Amazon that are highly targeted. We don't want anybody and everybody, because that will give us or that would take out points into the interactions of that audience with your product. So that's a huge part. And if you think about this for a minute, and what I'm saying, it's like now the importance of the audiences is huge, right? And keywords are not that relevant. So the byproduct or the second order consequence of this change is that the model or the way that we are used to do advertising is radically changing. So it's not only about keywords and PPC and bidding for the highest, traffic or keyword. It's going to be about audiences. And Amazon is being releasing, I don't know if you have noticed, more and more and more programs where inside the advertising platform on Amazon, you are able to tap into audiences. And that's why we have now the brand analytics. Now, today I saw a post from Liram, actually. He posted about now you can do brand sponsor products or brand sponsor videos, I think, with or targeting specifically the customers that haven't purchased from you in the past 12 months, but did at some point.
Mhm.
So if you think about it, it's changing. So I'm very excited about the moment that we're right now, because things will radically change. And one call to action here that's huge for sellers is that we cannot wait for this to be completely roll out and change for us to start taking action. Why? Because if you think about it, the large language models, the AI, learn uh, retroactively. So they learn with the information that they have in the past, and it stays like that until some point, until the system like refreshes again. And that's what we see, like for example, ChatGPT. When ChatGPT came out, then it came out the version 3, and then the 3.5, and then now we have the 4.0, right? But it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the information that was new after we launched the 3. After they launched the 3.5 wasn't available in the system. You needed to wait for the 4.0 in order to see that information. Similarly, I think that's going to happen to Amazon's AI, where we don't know exactly how often that's going to change. So we need to start feeding the system with a lot of information and a lot of context so it can start learning. So
Right.
yeah, I'm very excited, and I think this is a topic that needs more awareness in our space. And there are so many things that could be done for to leverage this and start changing before the change happens completely. So yeah, I'm super
Yeah,
excited.
so I mean, yeah, it's quite fascinating, and thank you so much for coming on, and I appreciate this context and your excitement on it. And I mean, I know, I mean, where do you have like any crystal ball? Like, I mean, 3 years, where this AI? I mean, is heading? I mean, is it, will there be no photographers, or will there be no need for people listing? I mean, the service provider space can also be upended, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, everybody. I guess that. So first of all, when you say about photographers, this is the same feeling, or this is the same, I guess, situation that photographers were in when the digital camera came out. They were like, oh my God, that's cheating. That's cheating,
Uh,
right? Like, no, 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 we need film, we need to do a manual. Like, that's not, true. Um, I think the faster we embrace the change, the better it's gonna go for us. I don't know. So my prediction, this is my prediction. Yeah, I think that in less than 2 years, we're gonna be interacting with a platform that is highly, highly, highly targeted to us. So let's say, Ed, that we are both, moving to a new house, right? When you look in, let's say that you're building your office in your house. When you go and search for a new desk, for example, you're gonna see different results from the things that I see. Because in the past, I like, for example, standing desk, right? So my search results will be standing desk that are white, or that are, a light color, because the system already knows that I purchase a bunch of things that are white, so it can connect those pieces, right? But for you, they know that, oh, Ed likes desks that are, low. He doesn't need to stand. He like fancy things, and, a nice robust, wood. Things like that are gonna be completely different. So I think that's happening for sure. That's happening. And the other part, which is very exciting, is agents, type of agents, or personal assistants, or personal shoppers, that will be a bot on the platform. And Walmart already launched publicly hit theirs, and Amazon did with Rufus in January, but still haven't rolled out completely to the whole marketplaces, or I still haven't interact with it. But it's just gonna be like, hey, Rufus, I'm hosting a party in my house. What should I buy?
right.
That's the level of, you know, highly targeted, highly customized to you, the experience. So we are gonna buy, I think we're gonna buy more, we're gonna buy better, and more interestingly, and I don't know if you think about this in the same way that I do, but I believe this will be radically leveling, or this will radically level up the playing field, because this it's not going to be more about what's the highest organically ranked listing with the most amount of reviews. No,
Mhm.
they're going to
Right.
show things that are for you. And this is the way that social media is built. Ed, if you think about it, is there in social media, is there the most click, or first, or most reviews, I mean, shoe? No, because the
Right.
shoes, or the advertising, the shoes that you see in your social media when you're scrolling, are completely different from the ones that I see. So
Right.
this
Right.
is where
Right.
audiences are so, so important. And I think that's the way that we're heading, because that's the way social media has done it for so long. And it's about time for e-commerce to do it too.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with social media, and it's like, like sometimes, I click on something, and then for the next 2 weeks, I'm like, oh God, like why did I stop?
Yeah.
Like I looked at weight, then I'm like, oh no, then I got to see like bodybuilding and all that for the next two. Sometimes it's a little bit overdone, but yeah, it's probably going to be extremely accurate. And yeah, I agree. I mean, they seem to know what I want, before I even know. So
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
okay. So thank you so much, and that was really fun. And I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much, Vanessa.
Thank you, Ed. It's a
All
pleasure.
right, bye.